Hello and welcome to the STUK on Self-Love podcast. STUK Designs is a successful nonprofit for girls and a clothing brand run by young women from around the world. At STUK Designs, we believe in self-love first because self-love is the dawn that marks the beginning of all the different kinds of loves and because it undoubtedly sustains success. This podcast shines light on strong and talented women who excel and persevere in life while bathing in abundant self-love. So if you're ready to keep it real, level up in all your inner work, creative business, and community impact, then you've come to the right place because we provide you with content that helps your soul glow and your mind grow. Thank you for pressing play. Let's dive in.
STUK Designs is a community of women who promote self-love and creativity to underserved girls of color globally through arts-driven programming and a clothing brand. So Brette, yes, she's even like sporting it today. She looks absolutely precious. I'm so excited to have you on. I mean, obviously you're like a sister to me now.
Yes, queen.
Yes, people just need to get to know all about you and the absolute positivity and light that you radiate. So first of all, Brette, I guess my first question is, what makes you that girl? Because you are the definition of that girl to me. But how do you in your everyday just choose to love, support, give back, and speak your truth? And we can go from there.
Yeah. Okay. How am I that girl? I mean, I guess maybe because, I do all the things. I wear many hats, and I feel like being that girl is being multidimensional and like owning that, because I think in the past, a lot of women feared being multidimensional because like, oh, if I'm too smart, maybe he won't like me, or if I'm too this, just whatever. But it's like now we can do all the things and we can, be all that we want to be. But also I feel like a lot of it, it's not really my choice. It's like a calling. It's a higher calling. It's calling from God. Like, it's not really my, when I do things or when I have to like just post a blog piece or a podcast or something like that, it's really like a higher calling that I have for the collective, for the collective of women, during this time. And so a lot of it is beyond me. It's bigger than me. And I feel like being that girl is being multidimensional and like owning that, because I think in the past, a lot of women feared being multidimensional because like, oh, if I'm too smart, maybe he won't like me, or if I'm too this, this, whatever. But it's like now we can do all the things and we can, be all that we want to be. In the darkest times, like, who cares? Like, just any kind of positivity.
Be the light.
Like, who cares? If it's what is too positive? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand how anybody can be too positive or too much. Everybody's always told me that I'm too much. I'm too this. I talk too much. I'm too, like sugary happy or this or that. But it's like, people who are, have this light, have the inner positivity, like they've been through the darkness, and that's how they have so much light. That's how I have so much light, And so I think before we judge toxic positivity, before we judge, women for being quote unquote overly positive or overly optimistic, or light workers, we have to, realize that you have to walk through a lot of darkness to get to that point of light.
What is it like to create a nonprofit from the ground up? But why STUK? And why do you continue doing what you do today?
Yeah. It was, my story. Where do I even begin? I grew up in, not the most positive environment, and nobody really was like positive around me and had no one to affirm me. I had no one to like say, yeah, you should do that. Like, nobody ever told me that I could do anything that I'm doing, and even to this day, like in my family, it's just not that way. And so I just had to find ways to affirm myself. And, I realized like, oh yeah, like if I put affirmations on illustrations, like if they're pillows or if they're mugs or, if they're around your home, it's like they're reminders to you, to uplift you, to remind you of your own soul. STUK merch is so powerful, and why ultimately I want to get it to underserved girls and underserved girls of color, and underserved girls in Ghana and India, and girls who really just have no have never had new clothes before, don't have the opportunity to get new things. That's why I always that's why it's called STUK, because, and a play on words, because, yes, I'm always strong, talented, I believe in unity and, knowledge, but like along the journey, it's really hard sometimes. It's not easy. And I think that that's the only way that I've been able to keep getting back up, or like having the stamina to do it, because it's just it's a purpose that's higher than me. And I know that because of all that I went through, and because of how dark I felt and how, hard it was to pick myself up or whatever, that I don't want other women to have to go through this. And it just breaks my heart when I have to see other girls, especially in Ghana, when I went and traveled to Ghana to do our STUK mural, just seeing the girls suffering in such poverty. And it just it breaks my heart. Even when I returned, I just kind of went into a little bit of a depression, because I was like, this just has to change. We need change. Girls need more opportunities. We need protection. Artists need more opportunities. Artists need protection, because it's society is trying to create no room for us to thrive. I just kept going, when things would fall apart or whatever, I would just figure it out and keep going. And I had a lot of amazing women help me along the way, and just contribute, what they could to it. And then progressively, it just built and built and built. Success is not linear.
And I love that concept of nothing is linear.
Because that's what STUK as a clothing brand and also as a nonprofit is really about, pouring into the souls of people and bringing people back home to themselves, because so many people are just lost right now and don't know which way is up, because they really haven't grounded themselves in self-love. And self-love is grounding. I think it's the highest form of protection there is. I definitely would have not been alive without it, to this day. So
obviously self-love for us is at the center of what we do.
Yeah.
I even have a t-shirt that says self-love first. You have one that says do you. And it's kind of been a buzzword topic. It's a
trend
word, but how do you think public perception of self-love needs to change going ahead?
Well, I think I could take it from my own experience with my journey of self-love. I think for a while I was very behind the scenes of my company, because you couldn't even you could not talk about self-love like that. It was just if you can have t-shirts maybe that say something about it, but if you come out and say yes, I love myself, way back when, people were just what?
She's cocky.
Right. There's this fear around it and around public perception of what will happen when you really do stand up in that self-love. Because when you do really fully own your self-love and stand up in that self-love, everything really does have to change in your life. Because relationships where you weren't in alignment with self-love have to either fall away, go into a new, a balance, shift, change. Or in that, if you have a job, that you don't really like, that needs to shift, change, because loving yourself is loving everything you do. It's loving the people you're around. It's loving the community you're around. It's loving what you do every second of every day and being intentional with that love every second of every day, because there are no ordinary moments. Everything is, important. And it's just
what people don't understand about that too is it's a part of the ego that needs to absolutely be destroyed. It's subconscious.
Ego is most threatened by peace. And self-love is peace, We are at peace when we have self-love, and that agitates the ego. And so the ego, people driven by ego, will try to do anything to push, pull, because what it is, it's calling them to are you walking in self-love? And then if you're not, it feels almost like a threat to your ego. We all have ego. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to kind of die to the ego every day. And you have to manage it. You have to be aware of it. You have to watch your thoughts, be the observer of your thoughts. You can't just let it run you. You got to pull out your ego, when you need to pull it out. Like, you know, like you don't need to use it most of the time. Just pull it out your purse when you need to go to this amazing event, when you need to advocate for something really important and you need to get your voice heard. And which is why we always need to, you know, like meditate and have just like the protection of self-love before kind of entering into the world and engaging with people.
Honestly, like that thought of not knowing that you're acting out of your ego is such a threat to us being able to blossom into the person that we're meant to be. And earlier, before we started the podcast, we had a conversation about the general energy of the relationships between women.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, from your perspective, you also went to an all-girls high school.
Yes.
And you know what that was like. You can speak to that a little bit. But how do you think that women in particular could benefit from self-love in their relationships with other women? How can that transform them?
Well, in all ways. But most specifically, I think the competition/jealousy factor. Because when you are in abundant self-love, you realize that competition is truly illusion, and that the only, like, you are only like people are only a mirror to you. Like we have this relationship because we are aligned. Like, you know, these are our passions are aligned. We're aligned, you know, mind, body, soul with like our purpose and what we want to do, and then you attract like people. But if you are coming from a low vibration, you know, you can attract that sometimes, which I have. But I think that whatever the world is withholding from you, you know, like you are withholding from the world. Like, it's not about other people. It's not about like this person being higher than you or whatever. It's a lot about our own fears getting on our way. Like, we are our own, you know, we can be our own best friends and our own worst enemies. We can be our problems and we can be our solutions. But like, you know, it's just like women have this, it's social media, this comparison, which creates jealousy, which creates this competition. And I think that competition is completely ridiculous. I think that it doesn't even make sense to me, because right now, literally, we're in a reshaping and reworking of society. And it's like, if we don't speak out and if we're not firm with like what is okay and what is not anymore, and what is out of date, you know, what kind of behaviors are out of date and what is not, then, you know, like, who really will? Like, who is? You know, it's just like, if not now, when? And if not us, who? So I just do it, you know? And it's not necessarily like I want to do it. It's really hard for me sometimes doing it.
The number one way to clear your vibration is not gossip. Don't talk about other people.
Yeah, which is hard for me.
Yeah, really, is it? I think that's something I've become like so much more aware of over the years. And even that is like something that I am vibrationally like so polarized with. I cannot handle gossip.
Well, not anymore, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, now I have that view for sure. But because I know how completely toxic it can get. But yeah, I'm a Gemini. I talk, you know, we like talk. And we like to like know everything, like hear everything. And so yeah, when I was younger, of course, I gossiped about everything and everyone, but also I came from parents who did the same thing. So yeah, in the past like couple of years, maybe like the past 3 years, I've really had to like, you know, get a hold on it and be real with myself, be real with my shadow self. Like, Brette, where have you been talking, you know, about people? And if you talk about people, it's only just going to come back to you at some point in time. That's just how the law of attraction works, you know?
100%. I've been on social media a lot more lately than I have been. Obviously, as a title holder, like that's one of my number one jobs. And it's been hard, I won't lie, because, you know, sometimes you'll scroll through and think, wow, did I do everything that I could do to impact other women around me today? You know, like this title holder did, or this amazing person, Emma Watson, you know? Yeah. I love her. She's amazing.
Me too.
Please reach out to us, Emma.
Because I don't really... I took this advice from Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zinkina, her podcast. Like, she was talking about how she doesn't look at anybody else's stuff. Like, she doesn't focus on anybody's social media but her own. And so I've gotten into that flow probably for the past 6 months or so, I'd say, really consistently. But here and there, I will do like a scroll every like blue moon or so. And then I did like the other night. And that's what propelled me to like write a blog post on on just like women and just like this comparison, this cattiness, this shady behavior, because I was just like, ew, after I scrolled, I was like,
yeah, like, why do I feel this way?
Like, what is happening? And I was like, I don't want to experience this anymore. So in order to not experience this more, I need to stand up. I need to speak out, and I need to I need to move myself out of this nasty energy. Energy is just like, whoever you don't resonate with anymore, it's okay. We're in completely shifting times. We've never experienced a time such as this in human history. So do you.
Yes. And I need to even follow that advice more. It's something that I work on every day doing me, because I think as a title holder, especially, or even as a business owner, there is so much balance that has to be done in, yes, focusing on you, but also being a champion for others. Like, I want to be scrolling through my social media and like commenting on other women's posts, and, you know, getting them like higher in their triggered. Yeah, and lifting them up. Like, I feel like that's a part of my job as a woman in this world, to be a champion for others. But that can be hard sometimes. Like,
so I kind of just like, I had to change my relationship with social media completely. I think like I had to change my relationship with everything else when I came into full and complete mind, body, soul, self-love. You know, I think social media is a piece that I really didn't factor in for a long time. And so like maybe about a year ago, I cleaned out my social media, like anybody that I just don't really talk to kind of on the regular or wasn't resonating with, I just really unfollowed. And I kind of made it bare minimum on my personal account. And then with the STUK account, I had to kind of do the same thing. Now it's like, it's more fresh. It feels like I can actually scroll through there and like comment and be positive with women. But we had to like eliminate a lot of people that were following who weren't on that vibration. And now it's a lot lighter. We have more artists, we have more like community leaders, we have advocates, we have teachers, you know. But it's just like, if people are in your feed who are not really feeding you, you know, positivity, light, and good things, like, then you gotta just exit it out, end that chapter, change it up.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece of advice. You know, sometimes
it's hard.
It's so hard. Yeah. But sometimes it just takes like cutting the cord for you and for that person too.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my last question, really. You know, what is one tactical piece of advice for the women listening to this podcast for something they can do to leave and apply in their life to be that girl, to radiate positivity and to find self-love and a wonderful vibration within themselves?
Wow, that is a loaded question.
It is. But something tactical, something they can do, you know?
Okay, well, the first thing that came to mind was don't quit before it gets easy. Because I think that like a lot of times we're like, that's just the advice that I will say. Because I think a lot of times we think that it's so hard. We think that learning new things is such a struggle, but it's like the more you keep going, the easier it really does get. And I think that like it's a part of that process, is a part of like, you got to reprogram your mind kind of to do new things in a vibration of self-love. And yeah, it is a struggle a lot of times, and it is hard. So like, I will say that I think investing in yourself is so important with the process. Like, invest in spiritual teachers, invest in mentors, invest in leaders. I'm in two Patreons, you know, of spiritual teachers. I have a mentor, you know, I have like an art manager and an art mentor. Like I just surround myself with positive people and like mentorship, because these times are so unprecedented and you never know what's going to happen from one day or maybe 1 hour to the next. Investing in yourself and other communities and people, it will help you be able to pull yourself back up and to keep getting back up. And then eventually the journey does become easier and lighter and more loving and flowing. But it's like, it's not some like quick fix. It's not some one day thing. Like my journey, I'm on a 10-year journey right now. Like this has been a long time coming. Fall in love with the journey as you're falling in love with yourself, because it's really about just falling in love with these mundane moments and acknowledging them as actually really important parts of the whole picture, of the whole journey. And it's a journey of being able to pour into yourself first, because otherwise you can't do anything, and then being able to just abundantly pour into these other people, and being able to like uplift girls and women at a time when like at a really dark time. We're in some dark ages, you know. And that's so that's what I would say. That's my advice. It's kind of all over
such beautiful. No, it was perfect and such positive advice. I'm so glad that you talked about mentorship too, because that's something I talk about all the time with I Am That Girl. And one of the facets is that girl supports. And if you can't see someone who is like doing the things that you want to do, like where are you going to find honestly like that positivity inside of you to keep going, to keep going before it gets easy. And you have definitely been a mentor for me. So thank you so much for being on.
And you for me, honestly.
Yeah, it's just, it's a sisterhood. So I love everything that we're doing together and the way that we are uniting women. And I hope that everyone listening to this podcast has gotten that awesome girl power positivity that they needed. Brette, where can we find you on social media and on the interwebs?
Well, it's, my IG name is not very creative. It's just Brette Sims, BretteSims at Brette Sims. And that's on all social media platforms, including TikTok, which I've been getting into a lot lately. And then STUK Designs everything is just at STUK Designs, STUK Designs. On all social media platforms, we're STUK Designs _, on TikTok, but you can just search it, STUK Designs. And we're doing some great things. Visit stukdesigns.org to see all the things, all the amazing things that we're doing right now. We have 3 podcasts. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. We're bringing women together, and it's time to stand up, speak out, own your truth, walk in your full authentic power. The time is now.
Yes.
Now.
And I will leave it on that positive note. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And I hope that you leave this podcast, go out today and be that girl.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. You can visit our website, www.stukdesigns.org, to shop our merch, make donations, join our blogging team, or be a part of our affiliate program. See you in our next episode. Love and light from us to you.